All right, so what's the deal with Winlink? First of all, anyone on here that already has Winlink installed and you know how to use Telnet, if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and send a Winlink check-in form to me at KN2Z. Again, Telnet's fine. And the reason I'm asking for that is when we get that far, I'm going to show the mapping feature and that kind of stuff. So if you wouldn't mind. Okay, so wouldn't it be cool if we had a system that allowed us to send and receive email messages pretty much anywhere on the globe? It'd be pretty awesome. And maybe we could use it to pinpoint somebody's location or send and receive weather reports. We could send out or relay emergency messages, get them from an area that has little or no conventional communications, get it out to the world where somebody does have conventional communications. So Winlink's pretty awesome. That we're pretty happy that we have it. And just a reminder, I am recording this. Let me make sure. Yep, I'm recording. And I will make this link available on the District 21 TxRACES Groups IO page. And then if somebody's not on there or can't access it there, just send me an email and I will forward it to you when it'll be sometime tomorrow. I'll have it posted. And also I put a PDF copy of the presentation there. So, all right. So what I plan to do this evening is I want to get anybody here that isn't already up to speed on Winlink, at least in Telnet. I want to be able to get you up to speed and get you using it at least a Telnet level. And if we can get beyond that, that's okay. But that's our goal for the night. I don't know if we have anyone here that isn't already Winlink capable. Hey, I got one. Thanks, Brad. All right. So that's what I'm hoping for tonight. Why do we want to use Winlink? Well, there's a whole lot of words on this slide, and I was trained a long time ago on how to put training material together, and this is not what I should do. But there's a lot to say about it. Essentially, what we're looking at is Winlink is the gold standard for EMCOMM communication services. RACES, ARES, whoever else that does EMCOMM, Skywarn, and so forth, all pretty much rely on Winlink, and there's a reason for that. I think we've all either been through or are working on going through the FEMA training that familiarizes us with the ICS methodology, incident command structure. And Winlink, of course, fully supports that in the forms, the templates that's available in Winlink and that kind of stuff, where you can fill out a form on your end and send a rather short and sweet email text-wise to somebody else, and their machine then will reconstitute that back into a form that can be printed out and given to somebody or turned into a PDF and sent on via email, whatever the case is. So the ICS function, we can also use Winlink to shoot the breeze, just like any other email program. But I would point out that it's good to remember that under Part 97 of the FCC rules, that you don't really want to put anything in a Winlink message that you wouldn't say on the air. It's not a good plan. You know, if you're planning some kind of governmental overthrow or something like that, I wouldn't use Winlink. It just seems like not a good plan. But no, just letting you know that there, in fact, there is in case somebody hasn't been there and checked it out, there is a place on winlink.org, one of the screens where, or one of the pages where you can go and actually review pretty much every email that's been sent and received via Winlink process, and you can review content. I guess there's a board of reviewers that go through and volunteers that go through and make sure we're maintaining compliance with that. So even though you can send an email to your buddy and go, hey, I'm getting ready to go fishing, if you want to go along, whatever, there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that, especially if you're using Telnet. Yeah, you would just make sure you're not saying anything you wouldn't want grandma to hear. And one of the big things for us is in EMCOMM is the fact that we can Yeah, we might have to work at it a little bit, but we can move a message from just about anywhere on the globe to just about anywhere else. We might have to relay it a few times. We might have to resend a few times, but we can get the information moved. It's just a matter of propagation and communication skills. So that's what I know about Winlink. Anyone? I'm going to go through some steps here. If everyone here already has Winlink loaded, we don't need to do this. I want to step through it just for the video, sake of the video. But is there anyone that needs to download and install Winlink? Ryan, I'm pretty sure you're good. Steve, I know you're good. AC5 MAH. You have it. You have it downloaded. I know you're on chat, so I'm watching. All right, I'm going to go ahead and step through. I'm just going to go step through this again for the sake of the video. So just bear with me if you've already been down this path. We need to go to winlink.org, and I've got that highlighted up here at the top of this little insert. And from there, you'll notice a link that takes you to my account. And let's see, yeah, I do have a cheat sheet. I just don't want to miss anything. One thing I will point out, just a reminder that Winlink Express, RMS Express, is a Windows-based program. You're not going to get this program to work on anything else. There is a version of Winlink that will run in Linux, and we can do that at a later date if anybody's interested. I'd be happy to. Yeah, and they're getting there. You can actually run Winlink Express with the latest version of Wine in Debian Linux, and it'll work on Telnet. I've got a computer behind me that will do that, but I can't load Vera, and for some reason I can't make Packet work on it. I don't know why. So it's stuff I have to work on. So anyway, this is a Windows program. If you're trying to install it on anything other than a Windows machine, it's probably going to fail. But if we would go ahead from winlink.org and click on my account, it's going to take you over to this page. And this page actually talks about how to get an account. And there's some, I got it highlighted down here towards the bottom. You want to download, install, and configure any of the client software, but our client software for tonight, the subject is Winlink Express. So that's what we're going to go for. So we would click on that client software, and when you click on client software, it'll open this page. And this is across the top. There is the Outpost, Airmail, WOAD, and PAT. WOAD is kind of a neat program. Brad and I have tried it out, and I don't know if anybody else in the valley has messed with it much, but it is it's Winlink on Android is what that is. So you can send and receive Winlink messages from your phone, and if you've got a sound card device of some sort or Bluetooth, especially like a Mobile Link TNC 2 or 3, you can Bluetooth to a handheld radio and send and receive Winlink from your Android phone. And then PAT Winlink is the next one over there, and that's the version that runs best. A lot of people run PAT on Raspberry Pi, and it'll also work fine with hey, we got another attendee showing up. It'll also work in pretty much any of the Debian Linux distributions. But for now, we're just going to go with Winlink Express. So if we click on Winlink Express, I mean, this page will give you the yeses or nos, whether it'll cover things like if it'll do Packet, if it'll do Pactor, RDOP, and so forth, Vera, and that kind of thing. But if we click on Winlink Express, it'll open up the Winlink Express page, and that, of course, has a whole lot of information that you're free to go back and read at your leisure. And but for now, just go ahead and scroll down. When we get down to the bottom of that page, before I move on, we're going to click on Winlink Express current production version. But before we do that, before I move on, I just want to point out this Amateur Radio Safety Foundation Inc. Underneath here. Yeah, this doesn't really help you out that much, but getting a registration. These guys over here in the middle, these are all volunteers that have put this all together, and a lot of work has gone into this and continues to go into it to keep it maintained. I would recommend, it's not a requirement, but I would recommend that you either go in and do this $25 a year donation, or you can do a one-time purchase. And down here is the link, says purchase a registration key, and go ahead and get it. All that really gets you is it does away with, when you start Winlink up, initially it does away with the splash screen and get you into Winlink just a couple of seconds quicker. Is realistically all it does for you. But what it does do is help fund these folks, all these volunteers. It puts a couple of nickels in their pocket to keep them doing what they're doing, and we need them to do that because Winlink is awesome. So anyway, if you haven't already, go ahead and click Winlink Express current production version, and that'll get you the latest and greatest. When I did this a few days ago, it downloaded 1.7.1.0, and it's already updated. I'm at 1.7.2.0, and we'll talk about some settings later that'll get you up even a number above that. But anyway, this it's going to come down into your download folder, and you would do whatever you normally would do to unzip this folder, and it's going to give you an exe file, Winlink Express install.exe, and you go ahead and run that. When you do run that, you can either do this ahead of time or it will take care of it for you, but you will end up with a folder on your hard drive right off the root. It's going to be C/RMS Express. So that's where the program is going to install. You can set that up ahead of time. It'll find it and plug the information in, or the files in that it needs. But if you don't have it on there, it'll install this exe file. We'll go ahead and create that and put it on your hard drive for you. So anytime you go back and interact with RMS Express, you're probably going to have to go back into that folder, this RMS Express folder on your just off the root of your hard drive. When we do that, if this is the first time, Brad, did you get lost? He's back in now. All right. If you haven't run this before, or if this is the first time running Winlink, it's going to pop this form open. And Brad, I had asked you about that Winlink help file or something a few days ago. I finally found it. I'll show you when we go to the live screen. They did an excellent job of hiding it, because, well, I'll point it out when we get there. But anyway, this screen will open, and you're going to have to fill in some information. And I put a little bit of green highlight in each of the blocks that you're going to interact with. One I missed was password. You have to have a password in order to utilize Winlink. Now, if you already have a password, of course, you just go ahead and plug in the one that you got from Winlink. If this was your first time going through this and first time running Winlink, you can go ahead and put in. I always recommend never use a password more than once. So put in something unique. But if you have a password you use a lot, probably not going to get hacked in Winlink. But anyway, you do need to put a password in here. You need to put a password recovery email, and that's in case you get a password all set up and things, and then you forget it. You don't use it for a couple of weeks. Shame on you. But you need to go back and get a reset or whatever. They will send out to this recovery email address your reset credentials to let you jump in and do what you need to do. Moving on down, you go ahead and enter your grid square. You can do just 4 digits, 6 digits work fine as well. Default value, when this first pops up, it's going to have public already loaded in the service codes down here. You want to put a space and include EMCOMM. That's pretty much a requirement if you're going to do anything EMCOMM related, like TxRACES or Aries or Skywarn, all of those. So go ahead and have public space EMCOMM in there. over on the right-hand side, put as much information in as you feel comfortable with, keeping in mind that if I know your call sign, I can get your mailing address. It might be a PO box, but so you're not really hiding anything by avoiding these fields. Go ahead and fill them out as completely as you feel comfortable doing. And I even put a phone number in mine. I don't know if I should have, but I haven't encountered any bad juju as a result. So, and then again, your non-Winlink email could be the same as your recovery email, or it could be a different one. I've got, I think, a total of 5. I know Brad's got, what do you got, 20?
A few.
A few, yeah. And then moving on down, we've got, you can select these under Telnet. You can leave this first one unchecked and just download them. If you're just going with Telnet, you can leave that unchecked. I highly recommend, if you're going to be using Winlink primarily on RF, whether that be packet or if it's Vera HF or whatever the case may be, if it's going to be RF related, I would go ahead and check that. And the reason I say that is you have control of how big a file you send out, but you don't always have control of how big a file somebody's sending you. So if someone has sent you a file with a big old huge attachment on there and you have this unchecked, it's going to go ahead and try to download it. It's going to take a long time over RF, depending on how big a file it is. So if I'm running Telnet, I just leave that as it is. If I'm going to run RF, I come into this. You can go back into this form anytime you want from your main screen, and I'll show you how to get there shortly. But anyway, you can come in and check that. So if I'm expecting some messages to come in via RF, I will check that. The middle two, I keep those checked all the time. And in this bottom one down here is not showing as checked, and default it won't be, but I've been assured by Steve Waterman himself. And that's as good as it gets, right? Anyway, the Winlink, one of the main Winlink guys, said that you're safe. Go ahead and click this automatically install field test beta versions of Winlink. And that's why, and I did on my particular installation, and I've never had a problem with it. So they don't put anything out there that you're going to be able to download that's going to cause problems for your computer. There might still have a bug or two in it with the beta test versions, but all you do is let them know and they get right on it. Just get it fixed. So I would go ahead and check these bottom 3, and then depending on whether you're using Telnet or not, decide whether to use that. Then finally, click update. And again, if you have not included a password up here, when you click update, it's going to go, oh, you silly, you didn't put a password in. So like I said, you can make one up or put in one you've already got. And then it's going to open up a screen sort of like this. And on here, I've got a few highlighted just to talk about. This is all the way to the left is your new message icon. So when you click that, we're going to do a live session on here. So I'll show you all this as we go. But for now, that's your new message all the way to the left. The one that is got the plus or the cross or whatever you want to call it here, that's for GPS. And I'm looking into trying to get a bulk deal for GPS dongles. I would highly recommend that you put a GPS dongle or have GPS capability on whatever rig you're running Winlink on, and have GPS readily available on there. It just makes life so much easier if you have that. But you can click on this and it'll open a little settings window where you can plug in. I mean, you can go on the internet and go, where am I GPS wise? And it'll give you your coordinates. Google Maps does that. And there's a ton of others where you can get your current location. If you're using a laptop, the reason I point out the dongle, if you're using a laptop and you're going out portable, or you're going to go to some other QTH, your dongle's automatically going to pick up your position, and when you send a message from there, it'll be accurately reported. The next one over is mapping, and it looks like I've got at least one opportunity to show you how that works coming up. And then the next one over is a catalog request, and we'll pop that open just to see what all is available for catalog requests. But other than that, essentially Winlink is very similar to other email clients. I mean, it's got an inbox, an outbox, sent items, saved items, deleted items. If you start a message and jump out of it for whatever reason, it gets loaded into drafts and that kind of stuff. So it's very similar to, and it's a lot like some of the older clients back in the early days of Outlook, or some of those had very similar items in here. So, and you can select up here, it says saved items. So if you got something, you highlight it down here and right click on it, it'll say, well, do you want to move it to whatever you got highlighted here, or whatever. And you can see I created a personal folder when we were doing a statewide exercise. And so everything that came in statewide exercise related, I just grabbed from here and moved over to that folder so I could find it very quickly. So that's it for the main screen. When we hit the new message icon, it's going to pop open here, and there's some things to point out. I'm going to put in a 2. That could be just a call sign. So that's going to go automatically sent out to anybody, that call sign at winlink.org. It knows to put the at winlink.org in there. You can put a CC in. That's the same deal. It can go to just a call sign, or just like 2, you can put in a regular email. You can send it out to a Yahoo or a Gmail or Thunderbird, or whatever email client is going out to. It probably will remind you that you need to insert some kind of subject. So put a subject line in here, and you can attach a file to this. Now, Winlink has an upper limit. I believe the number is 120 kilobytes. And if it's going by Telnet, and your recipient is going to receive it by Telnet, then you can max out on it. No big deal, because it's just internet based and it's going to go right through. But if you are sending this via RF, or you think that your recipient is going to receive it via RF, you're going to want to keep that attachment pretty small. And I would recommend 30K or less. 30 is kind of big still. 25 kilobytes. So a text message or a very tiny picture or something like that. And in next week's thing, we'll talk about resizing. If you want to send a graphic, a picture of some kind, there's a built-in functionality to Winlink where you can resize that and get it down to something your recipient can view, but it's still small enough to send. So you want those things in there, and then we should just be able to hit post out box, right? You'd think that would be the next one. You are going to hit that, but before we do that, you always check send as and make sure that you have the right thing here. You've got some choices. You've got Winlink message, you've got peer-to-peer message, and you also have radio only as available items. And if you select Winlink message and then you log in and try to do a peer-to-peer session, you won't be able to send it because it's marked as a peer-to-peer or whatever. So just make sure if you're using Telnet, you can just leave the default Winlink message in here and then hit post to outbox. And hey, look, I got some more coming in. Excellent. And thank you to everybody that's provided those. And yes, Brett, I can let you back in. I didn't notice you had departed on us there, so I got to you eventually. We didn't talk bad about you too much while you were out. All right, so here's just a quick message I sent out a couple of days ago. Sent it out to Brad W9FX. I also CC'd our RRO on here, which is not present tonight, and just did a screenshot for Winlink training, and I also attached a very tiny little message to it. I don't even remember what it said, but it was a very small text message, just to show that we had an attachment in there. And I made sure it was a Winlink message, and I posted it to the outbox. So, and I did get an acknowledgement back from Brad, and I never got one from REV, so I don't know if he never got it or what the deal is. He's been busy doing other things lately, so it's hard to say. When you do that, when you post it to the outbox, you notice that a couple of things on here. First of all, there's a little paper clip on the left-hand side of the screen down here. That tells you that you do have a file attached to that. The recipient, when the recipient gets this, will also see that little paper clip. that shows that there's a file attachment. The other important thing, I mean, there's a message ID. Every message that's sent and received has a unique message identifier attached to it. That's Winlink attached or generated. So you can go back and find that, do a search for it if you happen to know it or whatever. But the other really important thing on here is the overall size. In this particular case, that entire message was 491 bytes, and that includes the attachment and the message itself, addressing and so on. So that's the information that shows up in your outbox. See, I got outbox selected there. And then I just hit open session, and you see I got a telnet Winlink is highlighted there. You could do this. Could have been posted as Winlink message. Winlink message identifier is going to work with any telnet session. It'll work with like VARA FM, VARA HF. You can send a regular Winlink message through packet. It just depends on who and how you're connecting. But unless if you're doing radio only, or if you're doing peer-to-peer, it won't go. And then finally, to open the session, in that particular last screen I showed you, I had just clicked start a telnet Winlink. So it shows up here, telnet Winlink session, and I've got my settings such that it'll auto connect every 15 minutes. This one's a little over that, but every 15. Well, actually, I got it set to auto, so sometimes it goes out to 20 minutes or whatever. It just depends on if I get several messages in a row, it checks more frequently, and then after it goes a half an hour or something, it lengthens out. So auto is kind of a neat feature. But anyway, you hit start, and it'll go through. It'll do the connect, and it says, okay, we've got this identified message here. In this particular one, I had already sent it, so this one came back as 0 sent, 0 received. And then 15 minutes, 48 seconds later, it'll on its own will go out and do that again. Or you can turn that off and just do it whenever you think is the right time. So what questions do we have at this point?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Back in the beginning, when you were setting it up, there was a box for tactical call signs. Is that something that maybe I should use for WX5BRO or something like that?
That would be a good possibility. Let me tell you what little I know about tactical call signs. That is where you set them up. You can put like I watch Wave Talkers. If you've ever watched any of the Wave Talker videos on YouTube, they have a tactical call sign. So when you send it out to that tactical call sign, it goes out to multiple people. All of the individuals have access to that call sign. And then also I do, I don't remember, it's like a Winlink Tuesday, a Winlink Wednesday, a Winlink Thursday. I got different groups. The ETO group, it's a ETO 6 is our section down here in Texas, has a tactical call sign that you have to send your Winlink message to. So, and essentially what that does is it goes out to several individuals. And I don't know that technical is required to do that. In other words, I can't say that using a technical or a tactical call sign rather is only for going out to multiple recipients, but it will do that. And but it also, if somebody doesn't happen to know, like the Brownville Weather Service, I mean, if you put some common BROWX or something like that for tactical call sign, just for instance, people would probably pick up on that pretty quick, and they might not know to send it to your call sign individually or in particular, but that if they send it to that tactical call sign, it'll still go through and you'll still get it. So that is something you should investigate. And next session on this, we're going to work a lot more with templates and things like tactical call signs and then get some practice in. We want it's going to be mostly a live session on the next session, which may be our last one. It just depends on who all shows up and what they need to know about. So I'll do as many of these as we need to, but I don't want to bore anybody any more than I have to.
Can I throw a couple of cents in here, please?
Please do.
Brian, your question has two possible answers. One, if you're going to be using your station and your call sign to pick up reports addressed to the National Weather Service, then by all means, you could use WX4BRO as a tactical call sign. If, however, your plan is to use the station that is installed at the National Weather Service, I would go ahead and get that station its own Winlink account and just register WX4BRO as or a WX5BRO, sorry, register it as a Winlink user. That makes sense to you?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. I am going to attempt stop sharing that. And I'm going to attempt to share something useful. Where did it go? Disconnect. You know, feel free to talk amongst yourselves, smoke them if you got them.
Now, that's a phrase I haven't heard in a long time. Hey, Dan, how are you? Can't hear you, but I see your lips moving. I was going to throw something in here about when you set up the Winlink Express template or the settings, the block that asks you what services you were going to be associated with public and EMCOMM. The reason you want to put EMCOMM in there is for purposes of when you go to help on the winlink.org homepage, you can look for, and there are stations out there that are associated with Winlink that only accept EMCOMM related messages. And that's, you can also do the same thing with shares, but that's another story for another day. But you look at the map and you can get EMCOMM only listings of RMSs and gateways. So that's why you want to put EMCOMM in there.
Believe it or not, I found it. For some reason, I use VNC Viewer and VNC Server to pick up one of my other computers, and for some reason, it decided it was tired and didn't want to play anymore. So it's up and running again now. Everybody should be able to now see. Pay no attention to the man behind the screen. Just a little. My VNC Viewer picks up all of one monitor and just a little bit of another one. So I like to have somebody peeking around the corner just to keep an eye on things. Okay, so this is a live version of Winlink on one of my computers. This is the main computer I use for 99% of my digital things. And we can see that I have received from W9FX, from KD5MKV, and from KE5AWU, and another one from W9FX, but we won't talk about that one. So this shows up over here, and you can see a paperclip on this first one. So I'm going to click on that, and of course it's not going to go to a different mouse. That opens that up in my web browser. And so even though the email was sent as basically strictly text, it could be reconstituted then on my screen into this Winlink check-in form. And one of the main things that I get from this is the GPS coordinates that's included in here. There's a grid square, of course, and so we've got Winlink or GPS coordinates. So, and we'll get to that, what that means here in just a little bit. But if I just double click on this, this is the actual text that got sent. So that's that's pretty short and sweet and doesn't take very long to send. It's not a huge file or anything. And then since I got the template also on my machine, that's how that works. We'll go up to the next one. Telnet test, very good. Appreciate it. And again, the first time when you receive something like this and it comes in, the first time you open it, we'll go ahead and open it in your browser so that you can see the template. Now, if I close this, make sure I'm not closing anything I shouldn't. If I open this again, it's going to come up just to the text. If I want to see that form again, I'll close that, but I come over and click on the paperclip, and it'll reopen it in reconstitutes it into a form. And this one here is a test, and we do have the coordinates in there. I'm not sure how that'll work, but we'll give it a try. Right. I'm just going to go ahead and delete that one because I know what that. Well, I thought it was. Delete. There we go. All right. So back here in this main screen, then this is also after a while these things will end up automatically going over to the red items file. So those will disappear. But if we come up here earlier, one of the things, well, let me just go ahead and open up this GPS part. I've got a GPS dongle. Actually, it's it's on a cord, like a 25 foot USB cable. So I got it through a little hole in the wall and it goes up. I got a steel roof on my shack. Doesn't help me GPS wise on a laptop, but I do have it connected to COM9 on my machine. And so it picks up coordinates, GPS coordinates. If for some reason I took this, moved it somewhere else, these coordinates here would change automatically. So that's with that first icon. And then the mapping I wanted to talk about. When I click the globe, this little globe up here, I want to select from Winlink check-in forms, and I just had 3 of them come in, and I cleared them earlier, so I got a total of 6 reports. I had some from a couple of days ago when I was doing some testing. But anyway, you can go through here and tell it what map you want to use. There's several choices. I just use the Google hybrid map. It's a good one, but there's Bing is a good one, and the OpenStreet map. I like that one too. But for tonight we'll use Google hybrid map. And then I only keep these around for 30 days. So when I open this form, I can say delete old reports for this form, and anything older than 30 days will go away. You can set this down to 1 day, or I think 1 day is as low as you can go. Or you can just get rid of all the forms if you want to clear them. But anyway, when we come down here and click display map, now we can see we've got myself on there. There's Brad. There's Steve. All right down here. A few days ago when I was testing this was back on the 6th. And WD5H was checking in, and Roy Walker and Austin checked in with me. So anyway, imagine this: if you were getting emergency notices from some storm area, say over by Houston or whatever, somebody got a message to you with GPS coordinates, you can pop that map open and see right then and there where that originated, assuming their GPS coordinates are correct. And if it comes from a dongle, then or some kind of external means of communicating. One thing it won't let you do is do anything else with Winlink while you have this open. So we'll go ahead and close that. But it's kind of a neat deal. And then the catalogs. I think I can make that any bigger, unfortunately. But there are all kinds of things. Roy Walker talks a lot about the ionoson for the Central Texas area or whatever. So if you come down here to propagation, you can look for. There's the ionoson for them. And what you're doing here with this list of categories you can double click on here. I'll just go ahead and do that. And since we're operating telnet, it won't be a big deal. If there's something else that you want to look at, weather. The Gulf Coast. I think there is Great Lakes Global, Manitoba. Yeah, we'll just pick one of these. So anyway, you double click, you go through, and I would encourage everyone to go through and try these out, especially on telnet, because like I said, some of the responses you get back will be quite large. So you want to be a little careful with that. But anyway, when you post request, you can see right now I've got one item in my outbox. If I go over here and post the request, now I've got two. Okay, I hadn't been knowledge in there. So what I'm going to do with since I'm on telnet, I'm just going to hit start down here, and it's going to say, okay, you sent 2 messages and didn't receive any on that, but that's fine. And in a few minutes, it takes, it could be anywhere from a minute to 3 or 4 minutes. It just depends on how big your request list was. We're going to come back up here. I want to go ahead and put these in. Just to clear the inbox. Okay, and what it came back, system service. I requested 2 items, so here is our NOAA weather, and this is basically just gives you some links. But just as an example, there is a PNG file associated with that. So let's see if we can open it. Here we go. That's the Iona song for Austin, Texas. I've never really learned how to read one of those, so maybe it means something to y'all, but there's some pretty colors.
And that's also current.
Yes, that would be as up to the minute as we can get.
Yeah, that's accurate as of 20 seconds ago, in fact.
And then the other one, we'll just open that one up. And this is downloaded from Telnet. And I don't remember which one we. Oh, this is for NOAA. So this gives you some information.
Yeah, it's Keplerian satellite elements.
Okay. Okay. For the KPL, in case you wanted to plot those on a Google Maps or whatever. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, it's just an example of things that you can request. You don't have to interact with a person necessarily, but and there's some neat things on there. I mean, there's one that Roy always talks about, was this way up at the top, TxRACES. You go here, you can see TxRACES statewide communications, and we'll go ahead and post that request real quick because it's kind of a quick one. I'm not actually opening a session each time; it just opens the window that I already have open. You can hit start. And what this does is just comes back with a list of frequencies that TxRACES uses for various communications. So short and sweet, to the point. How long that one takes? Longer than that. And here's the thing, like I said, I've got it auto set and it continues to count down. That's the settings that you go to in here. Set polling time for automatic. Or you can, there's some, if you want to set it for 30 minutes or something like that, you got that available. All right, very good. So that just pops open a little, like I said, just a list of frequencies. There's your primary voice, secondary voice, digital frequencies. And Roy even did me a favor and threw in a couple of JS8 frequencies. All right. What questions do we have while we're live and up and running here? Everybody's up to speed apparently. So that's good. Right. We're gonna go there and then I'm gonna go back here. Yeah, we're kind of a little ahead of time, so that's good. What I plan on doing next time, and as far as I know, it'll be next Tuesday, unless I hear otherwise that we need to delay it or whatever. And it'll be the same credentials that you logged in with tonight, 7:30 week from tonight. We're going to talk about briefly some of these Pactor, what robust packet is, RDOT, RHF, RFM, and Iridium Go, and kind of help get some clarity on what each of those are and what they do. We're not going to focus on each and every one of those because that would be a rather lengthy process. But we will focus on packet because packet is used still here in the valley, and I use it frequently in VRHF, VRFM, and we'll mess around more with telnet, sending and receiving, and that kind of stuff. And then we're going to get into peer-to-peer and radio only modes. So we'll probably do some RF work next week. And so if anybody between now and then, like again, I will post a PDF version of this on the District 21 Groups IO page. And if anybody that can't access that, just let me know and I will email a copy out to you. And I will also make sure you have a link to the video of this presentation. There's one from last week as well, if you want to go back and look at what we talked about as far as different sound cards, different ways to interface your computer and your radio. That is also posted and available. So that's the goal, and we'll see how that works out for us. And so, what questions or comments do we have at this time? Brad, do you have anything you'd like to throw in here?
Yeah, I thought maybe if anybody has any questions about what we're talking about with GPS dongles, I popped one out of a package just a few minutes ago. So if I can get this thing close enough, there's not much to it. This is it. You can see my hand behind it, not very big at all. We got about 10 feet of cable on it, and it plugs into the USB connector on your computer. Thing's got a magnet in it. Wayne uses his sitting outside. I just set mine on a shelf up here, and I've got two of them, and it works like a charm. This is where it came from. Oh, I guess it's all backwards, isn't it? Okay,
No,
this is from Amazon, and the model number is V like in Victor, K like in Kilo 162, and they're $15. Work like a charm. They plug in. They're happy in Windows, and Winlink will connect right up to it. So
go ahead and throw that address in the chat if you would, Brad. And
yeah, I will. Good plan. Of course, that requires me.
Yeah, you got to open the chat window. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you work tonight. While he's doing that, I've got up here on the screen our contact information, his Brad's email and his call sign for if you want to use Winlink, because now you're all up to speed on Winlink, or regular email, and same for mine. If you have any questions about any of this or anything else, I'm hesitant to name myself, but I'm like Mr. Digital. If there's a digital mode, I'm happy with it. I mean, I'll experiment with it. I will use it. I've made since I discovered some of these and how to do some of these. I've made a lot of QSOs on RTTY and Field Hell, Olivia, PSK, a bunch of them on PSK 31 and 63. So yeah, if there's question, FL Digi, if you want to talk about that, I'll help you out if I can. So I think that's probably all I've got. And that's slide 19 or 19. I don't have any more goodies. So if
That's
there
fine.
are any other questions or comments, now's the time.
Well, on the password,
Yes, sir.
the people from Winlink want you to use an uppercase letters in there. And I've had someone contact me here recently. He wasn't able to get in anymore, and you had to send for a reset on that. And then if you don't send a message in, I think what, 6 months or maybe longer, you have to go back and open up your WinLink settings there and hit the update button. And hopefully your password's still locked in there, and then it'll let you back in the CMS.
Yeah, you're right. They do go stale.
Yep. They've kind of almost like boot you out, or they'll stop paying attention to you. And that update thing is an excellent point too, by the way. Well, since you mentioned that, thank you. Every time you open WinLink, it seems like, maybe not every time, but often when you open it, it'll say, "Hey, we've updated our template, or we've updated the program. Would you like to update now?" Always say yes. That's the perfect time, unless you're in some kind of really super hurry to get in and send a message. Go ahead and hit update, because the rest of us do, and I want my program to work the best it can work, and that is going to be based on the updates that they do. So it does happen frequently. I not every day, not every time, but I would say 2 or 3 times a week I end up updating templates, and it's a simple, you click yes and it takes care of it. It's no problem. You don't have to actually do anything. But so thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, it's good to note that Winlink Express and the templates are in a constant state of flux. Phil Sherritt, W4PHF, writes Winlink Express. Now somebody else takes care of the templates, but the templates keep evolving to meet the needs of some of the served agencies. Brian, I'm not surprised that there isn't something specific for the National Weather Service out there. I know we now have 2 weather templates, one for a regular weather report and one for a severe weather report. If NWS Brownsville has something specific they would like to see, there are 2 options to that. Ask the WinLink people to do that for you. Or if you know somebody that can handle a few words in HTML coding, you can write your own, and you can circulate those templates around. So if there's something specific that would be for your agency and your location, that can be accommodated.
Yeah, there's a number of individuals out on the internet. You can do a search and just say you want to build a custom template for WinLink, and they can help you out. It's XML based, and it's really, I've done it, but I'm not good at it. So I would recommend finding somebody that knows what they're doing. But my understanding is once you've done it a few times, it's really not hard to do. You have to make sure you take into account that you're going to be a sender and somebody's going to receive it, so they're going to have to be able to reconstitute it. So they're going to have access to the same XML file and so on and so on. But
Yeah, actually, I got a email from K5RAV, Dr. Woolweaver, asking me if the WinLink generated report was adequate and whether I wanted to add anything extra for our office. So I think maybe he's onto this idea and asking me if I want to have a specific form for our area.
Yep, very good. Yeah, he is pretty much on top of doing updates, accommodating folks that's going to get good from the program. So you're definitely one of our primary users. we want to make sure that you've got the information you need, and then we can get information back from you. So yeah, that would be great if collaborate with him. And if he's not the one actually writing the code, he obviously knows somebody that, I mean, he was on ARRL board of directors for a while, and different things. So yeah, he'd be a good contact for that.
Also, I'd ask all of you, if you know a ham that isn't digitally active, please encourage them to try it. It's the greatest thing since sliced bread. If it's the middle of the night, you're operating from, let's say, a hospital, and they hand you a list of medications, and you need to communicate that as a resource request to a regional or a state entity. Trust me, after you get through about the third medication, you're going to be sorely wishing that you had digital capabilities. Just error to error, and people that I said this the last time, the people that do this for a living, the professionals, are used to seeing things printed on paper or on a computer screen from email. And if you can serve them what they're used to seeing, it becomes far more palatable. Voice, yes, it's a mode of maybe not last resort, but it is not suited our best choice of communications modes for a lot of information. So if you know somebody that isn't active on digital, try to bring them on board. The software is free. You can get on with Telnet and really not have anything other than a PC or a tablet or an Android cell phone.
All right. Thanks, Brad. That's all I got, fellas. If anybody has anything, bring it up. Otherwise, we're probably good for this week.